Hey guys, welcome to 3 Mississippi. Sid here. Thanks for clicking on the video. It is a freezing cold day. With this wind chill factor and this Arctic blast that we are getting, it feels like it's, about 10 degrees, but it's a little warmer than that, at least right now in the sun. But we are expected to get some snow. And man, this unexpected visitor, these trespassers, if you will, could not have come at a more worse time. This week has been full of crazy weather across the country, but for us here in northern Mississippi, we went from having a tornado warning the other night and severe thunderstorms and high winds to waking up to snow flurries, which is not the norm around here in the South. We do get snow from time to time, but it's not usually very much, and it wasn't very much after that big storm that we had, but it was enough to coat the hood of my truck a little bit. So it's 6 something in the morning right now, and we just got through last night with heavy winds and tornado watches and warnings and all of that. And it's, as you can see, a little bit of snow, just a little bit. Just barely any. You could barely feel it, but we're expected to maybe get a little bit more in a little while. So far, that's all we got. A little bit of that white, fluffy, powdery stuff. Nothing that really stuck to the ground here where we are. Other parts of town got a little more than us. But we are expected to get more towards the end of this week. Probably by the time you see this video, this will look like a winter wonderland. We're expected to get anywhere between 1 to 5 inches of snow, which that's a lot of snow for a place that usually just maybe gets flurries or only gets ice storms. It's kind of exciting to get maybe a few inches of snow. However, it is expected to be short-lived because it's going to be quickly followed up by about a ½ inch of rain, which, you know what happens when you mix snow and cold rain is you get some sleety, slushy, icy conditions. So I think school will probably be canceled on Friday for the kids, but we'll see how it goes. Doing my morning rounds of feeding and watering everybody this week has been frigid. I've had my gloves on, my beanie on, my extra coat, because it's been super cold in the morning when the sun's first coming up. And luckily it hasn't been quite, this is a little bit windier than it is generally in the mornings, but it's still a little unpleasant. And inevitably you get wet because you're doing stuff with the water trough or whatever. And of course the water troughs froze over, the hoses were freezing over, so I'd have to come out, get them cranking and mess with them a bunch and kind of undo the hoses, and then I'd have to come and kick the water trough and break up the ice. And I probably should have filmed this before I broke it up, but I didn't. This was a solid top layer of ice, and I pulled a bunch of the ice out and broke it up. But I'm gonna look at the pond and see how it's looking. A little frozen over, like half of it. I don't know if you guys can see where it's kind of blurry looking. There's ice on the top here, ice crystals, and then over there it's clear and moving. Here there's definitely ice crystals along the top, but not frozen solid or anything. And last year when we had the big ice storm, I was getting about that much ice on the top of their water, and I was having to take an ice pick or an axe, or not an ice pick, what do you call it? Pickaxe. I was having to take a pickaxe and get through it every day, multiple times a day, to keep the water from, getting to be that thick of a layer. But that was definitely a wear you out every morning thing to try to break up all this ice in the 2 troughs for the goats and the horse. So winter is not typically the time that you want to be hatching out birds or really dropping any animals. Not ideal, right? It's usually really cold conditions. It's right in the middle of big storms. It's not an ideal time to be having poultry hatch out. But unfortunately, we got invaded by some ducklings. sometimes Mother Nature does Mother Nature. And this girl decided she was gonna get up underneath the coop. Don't mind Mike's compost pile behind me here. It's over here cooking. But she decided she was gonna dig a hole underneath the coop, my Muscovy duck, and lay a clutch, which was funny because 2 weeks before that, one of my other hens had hatched out a clutch. Unfortunately, she did it right before a big rainstorm and they did not make it. So she definitely dropped the ball on that. This one, however, went underneath the coop and has successfully hatched them out. Looks like there's 8 of them that have hatched. I'll show you guys where she got under the coop. So this was like a little dusting area that the birds had kind of carved out over here. And the reason I put shavings there was because it filled in with mud. But she couldn't figure out yesterday how to get back into it. So I dug it out and put shavings. And then, sorry, I'm filling their water right now. Then I dug this out so she could get in more easily because her nest is like right kind of behind these boards right there. So far, is keeping them with her. She hasn't just dipped out on them like these ducks have done to me before. Oh, little bunk had to come over. She didn't dip out on her birds like she's done in the past. And you know, a lot of times with hatchery birds, I kind of seem to have that issue where their mothering instincts aren't quite up to par to keep the babies alive to the point where they feather out. So that can be a little bit frustrating. But man, I was walking around thinking I was losing my mind hearing a little duckling, and I couldn't see anything. And then I'd stand still and I wouldn't hear it again. And I thought, okay, it's something else. And then I see this little yellow duckling marching along, and the mom is kind of frantically going around trying to get underneath the coop. Oh, winter surprise. But look at Auntie's with them now while Mama was getting a drink of water over here. I know they've got to be getting cold. They've been out for a few minutes now, but she's just keeping them in line and preening them and doing her mommy thing. It's actually really sweet. So yesterday, this little dugout hole was full of mud. This whole area was actually really muddy after the rain. And so I filled it, scooped out all the wet mud and filled in with some shavings so that she could be able to get in and out of there. And she's had her babies out with her all day. Everybody's being super loud right now. She's got them all kind of hunkered up against this fence board. They're in the sun right now. Maybe she'll try to take them inside. But they're not really trying to get under her. They're just kind of with her. But they're hanging in there. But that was the board I pulled off right here, you can see, and I dug it out so she could get in and out of there. But for whatever reason, she's decided to hunker down with them right here right now. Maybe it's a little bit warmer right there right now is the only thing. But they're all snuggled up, looking pretty cute. I'm not trying to disturb you, Mama. I'm not trying to disturb you. You're fine. You sit with your babies. So my other girl that had to have babies a couple weeks ago that didn't make it, she's actually been kind of assisting a little bit, kind of preening the babies a little bit, kind of keeping them all together, coming up behind. What I'm hoping is happening is here's my issues here. As I mentioned, the hatchery birds sometimes don't have the best mothering instinct. This is probably, she's had a couple clutches now, and oh, she's got the one nestled in her back. Oh my gosh, look at this. How cute is that? It's nestled in her back feathers. Adorable. Adorable. There's nothing cuter than that. Anyway, I'm hoping that after a few rounds of kind of, failed babies that I've either had to take from them or Mother Nature took them before I had a chance to when they'd first hatched out because they were being crappy moms. With her actually staying with these babies, I think a couple of things have happened and will happen. Number one, the issue before has been more sporadic hatching. It took about 3 or 4 days for all of them to hatch previously. And so what would happen is the older ducklings were going out with the mom. The mom was coming back to the nest, kind of not paying attention, sort of distracted. And so I think she was losing them that way. The other aspect that I'm hoping is going to continue into the future is with her now being a good mom and kind of staying with them and hopefully keeping them warm. I'm a little concerned that she's not like on them. But we're going to do what we can do here. We're going to hope for the best. I'm hoping with her demonstrating that and kind of learning that now in the future, instead of having to pull any ducklings when they hatch out, as soon as they hatch so that I can ensure that they make it to maturity, I can go ahead and let them raise them in the yard and not have that problem. It seems like her instincts are good so far. She's staying with them. Their instincts are good. They're staying all together. So that also helps keep them kind of all warm and together like that. So I'm hopeful that they'll kind of all, do that. They're kind of all, see, just let them get in there. Let them get in there, Mama. There you go. Yeah, there you go. They're figuring it out all together. They're figuring it out. They are. They're trying. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a new thing that sticks around so that I don't now have to, every time I want birds, I've got to pull them all and do them. I know I'll have to do it for my geese. I may have to do it for some of the chickens. We'll see how these guys make it through, if she truly stays with them and stays being a good mom like she is right now and tries to keep them warm and keep them safe. If that continues, and if the auntie, my green banded, leg banded one who's hatched out some of my other clutches before, but again, when she hatches them, she dips. And so I've had to collect hers in order to, raise those birds for meat. So I'm hoping that now that, she's seeing this behavior of her staying with them, she helped with them, kind of keep them in line today when they were going around the yard. I'm hoping that that's going to rub off on her, and that's going to be new flock behavior for them, which will then take me out of the equation, which would be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because if I don't have to incubate and I don't have to steal babies, then that's a good thing. Let them take care of it. Let them do it. So, so far so good. It's working. It's happening. And the big test will be see how they make it through the night. If she keeps them all together through the cold and the potential snow in the next day or so here, and how safe she keeps them, how warm she keeps them, and if they're able to make it through that. So as trespassers go and unexpected visitors go, I say these guys are pretty welcomed, even though ideally not the best time of year, obviously, for this. But they're really stinking cute, and she seems to finally have figured out the whole mothering thing, which is amazing. And I think that these guys might actually make it. Seems like she's actually going to stick with them and do a good job. So here's hoping. So just getting ready for the storm here, getting ready for the ice, making sure I'm got all the waters and the hoses and things all situated. So try to make things as easy as possible while we're potentially in snow and freezing temps. Or at least very low temps, so that we can stay functioning out here and keep everybody as comfortable and happy as possible through these next few days and this weather that we're expecting to get. So keep a good thought for me. Keep a good thought for the surprise 8 that just kind of came in and stole my heart and have taken over the yard today. I will say all the turkeys, all the geese, the rooster, all the drakes, they've all been wonderful with the babies. Nobody's been harassing anybody, and everybody's doing well. So far so good. So it's the next morning. She's got her babies with her. I just came out to check on them, and I'm glad I did, because she got one of them floating in the pool, which is not ideal right now. It's too cold for that. It is way too cold for you to be floating in cold water. You go join your mama. Now, as you can see, yeah, that one might struggle now. That's a bummer. Anyway, you can see she's down a few birds. She had 8, and now she's down to, we'll say 4.5. That one may not make it now that its little feet are cold. 2 of them did not make it. She did bring them up into the coop last night and cuddle with them, 2 of them went back to the old nest under there, and try as I might last night, I could not get them out from underneath it, so fairly certain they perished underneath. And then one of them this morning was not underneath her. It kind of like moved off to the side. Yeah, that one's gonna struggle now. It's cold. Hopefully she settles down and sits with them and maybe warms that one up. The one didn't make it, so she's down to, like I said, kind of 4, and this one that was floating in the pool, we'll see. So hopefully she sits with them and warms it up. But that's the update. We lost a couple overnight, so essentially lost 3. And that's a bummer, but that's kind of how these things go. Supposed to get the storms coming in later today, and fairly certain there won't be school for Frankie tomorrow. So we'll have a big pot of chili going and maybe a movie day. And check on the ducklings periodically. But there we go. RIP to the ones that didn't make it. It did get so cold, I did bring Bunko, Mr. Bunko, our outside cat, in while we have this ice out here, because he just cries and screams at the door to come in and cuddle, and he just can't handle it yet. But I did bring Bunko in to keep him happy for the next 48 hours or so. So he's been a good cuddle buddy. As you can see, he gets along really well with the indoor cat Marty, and they just want to be by mama. What are you doing? I appreciate you guys, and as always, remember, stay blessed and safety's off.